Welcome to my world.
Good evening and welcome to a new episode of Spotlight on the Arts. I'm Michael Toda. In this show, we're going to conclude the interview with Joey Faye, burlesque comedian, and we're going to highlight his television career and his commercials that he's done. Joe, you got your start at the 1939 World's Fair doing experimental television. You want to talk a little bit about that?
Well, it was television was in its infancy then. I just happened to be lucky when they had a television show, and I jumped in. I was working with Mike Todd at that time, Streets of Paris. We had a big show there, and I took Abbott and Costello's place, and with Gypsy Rose Lee, and it was a good show.
Uh-huh. Along the lines of that, you had mentioned in the previous show, you taped 200 episodes of a show called
Mac and Maya for Hire. Yeah, Mac and Maya for Hire. Anybody wants to buy them? There's 200 things lying there. You can all buy. Oh, gee, they're great. First of all, we used Mickey Deems and myself. We used every comedy sketch available, and we used well, most of them were original, but I mean, we have a lot of comedy in there in the half-hour show, and it's great. If you want to see Mac and Maya for Hire, just ask us, and we'll send you whatever you want.
All right. And then after that, you did some commercials, and you were the spokesman for Marcal Tissue.
Marcal Tissue was nothing. Marcal Tissue was a dud. But before that, I had a very good commercial with, I was the green grapes in the Fruit of the Loom commercial, which was 4 guys, and one of the best commercials that's ever been on the air. And if any sponsors are listening, it's great. But anyway, we had a great. We traveled all over the country. One time we were on a beach in Miami, and the producer says, "We can't use this." Says, "We need a room that's that we can see the ocean with." They said, "Well, we have no room like that." So the stagehands went and they built a room, and we did it right on the beach there. That's one of the tricks. Another time we were shooting, and we were in, no, we weren't shooting. We went to a place called, anyway, someplace, St. Petersburg. It rains there one day every year.
And you were there on that.
We were there the 3 days it rained. So the producers, we can't stand this, let's get out. They put us on a ship, sent us to Spain. We shot it there, and we came right back. They didn't care.
Oh, you know, not bad for playing fruit.
The money that they spend, they don't care. Yeah.
Now, I remember those commercials in the 70s growing up as a kid. And also in the 70s, I remember seeing a picture with Woody Allen and a friend that I had worked with some time ago, Michael Murphy.
Oh, yes.
I'd worked with him. But you want to talk about that picture? Because there's a lot of stories.
Well, the only thing I can say about Woody Allen is, I was just up, I just saw Woody last week. I was up for a part of an old man, and I don't think I got it. So if Woody's listening, I'm available. But anyway, the picture was the front, and we're in a restaurant, and I'm the waiter, and they say, "Waiter, bring us some water, huh?" And one guy says, "Yeah, make sure mine's in a clean glass." I said, "Oh, wise guy." I go out, I come back, I say, "All right, who ordered the clean glass?" You know, those are some of the jokes.
All right.
But it was a serious picture, and we turned it into a comedy.
Well, you also wrote a play in the 60s. You wrote a play and directed a play that was done called Anatomy of Burlesque.
Oh.
And I'd like to tell you a little. I'd like to hear a little story about that. I think we have a shot at a playbill.
I hope so. Gee, I'd like to see that. Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah.
It's
yeah.
You know.
Well,
tell me about that. How'd that evolve?
Well, actually, we did a show. We did a show about burlesque, but actually there were a lot of burlesque sketches, and we did a sort of a small history of burlesque, and it was. But actually, the best show that we did was a thing that we did at NYU with 1,000 people, and it was all about all burlesque scenes and everything, and it went very well. That's another. Burlesque has always been. I've always been associated with burlesque because it's one of the comic things that. Well, anyway. Burlesque. Are you listening to me? Do you make out what I'm talking about?
Burlesque. Well, it seems like burlesque has never died. Though in one way it may have died, but in another way it's still being shown in sitcoms today and stuff like that. It's being used all the time. And
well, burlesque will never die. First of all, burlesque goes back to the Italian version, which is burletta. Then the French always used it, but burlesque has always been with us because we even as a young nation, we always made fun of the constabulary and the higher ups and all. So it was always a play on, but burlesque will never die. Burlesque, they'll keep going on year after year. Only I hope they make it better than it was. That's all.
Well, right now I'm going to bring on. I'm going to go to a commercial, and then I'm going to bring on a friend of yours called Vinnie Perrera.
Tear out my fingernails one by one.
Welcome back to Spotlight on the Arts. I'm Michael Toda, and I'm here interviewing Joey Faye, and I just brought on Vinnie Perrera, a Staten Island resident and comedian.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Wait a minute. Hold on a second. Hold. I'm sorry, Mike. Joey, what are you doing?
I'm getting rid of the elephants.
What else? There are no elephants out here.
You see? I told you I was getting rid of them.
Put that down.
Oh, the deadly
anyway.
egg.
Well, if that wasn't an introduction.
No, it wasn't.
Tell me about burlesque.
Yeah, Vinnie, we're talking about burlesque right now, and how Joey got his start, and sort of a comedic form that has died out in one form but has never stopped living as we see in television and stuff like that. Why don't you give us a little rundown?
Burlesque is a very old form of
We still see comedy bits on television.
Based on burlesque.
Based on burlesque.
Which is basically what it was called was a poor man's theater. It's low comedy. A lot of exaggeration, exaggerated plots, exaggerated costumes, characters. As Joey mentioned before, a lot of attacking authority. Mm-hmm. A lot of attacking prototypes. No one escapes the burlesque humor, be it the effete young man, the buxom blonde, the dumb, stupid imbecile, the opera singer.
So the best example would be Marx Brothers humor is
Marx
exactly
Brothers
like that.
Is steeped in burlesque, yeah.
It's all it's all that. Now you tour currently. You're in a touring group, and you
one point I want to make is that we do have a vital burlesque troupe called the Great American Traveling Burlesque Troupe right here on Staten Island. It's a Staten Island-based group founded by Abe Walter, director. Eminent director on Staten Island, one of the founders of the Staten Island Shakespearean Theater Company, who decided back in 1979 that we should form a burlesque troupe to just prolong this art, introduce it to young people who don't know what it is or have a misunderstanding of what burlesque is, because a lot of people associate it with strippers,
right,
and nudity, and there's none of that in burlesque. There was none of that in early burlesque. It was pure comedy. And very funny, exaggerated comedy. The honeymooners use it all the time. And I've even heard burlesque jokes on Golden Girls, and
really?
and Martin Lawrence is one of the great burlesque comics, I think, because of his exaggerated facial expressions and the physical comedy he does.
Excuse me, I don't mean to interrupt you, but there's a thing on cable right now called Nick at Night.
Right.
Yeah. They're using all burlesque. In fact, what's her name?
I know her.
The redhead. The redhead.
Mary Tyler Moore.
Not Mary Tyler Moore. The comedy redhead.
Lucille Ball.
Lucille Ball has used all the comedy sketches that they were in burlesque.
The sketches she did with Desi Arnaz.
Well, besides
the imbecile hat and the
besides Desi Arnaz, she uses burlesque comics and does the burlesque scenes. She did Slowly I Turned. She did Niagara Falls. She did a lot of them. So it's never lost. It's always around her. We just have to pick it out. That's it.
Right. So what the Great American Traveling Burlesque Troupe tries to do is bring this art form to Staten Island audiences. Not only Staten Island audiences, we played New York, New Jersey.
They played all over.
And we got to keep moving. And we've been around since 1980, and we're still going. And maybe later on I can give a phone number.
It's a very good troupe.
Fundraisers on Staten Island. We've done charity work. We're a great vehicle for raising money for any type of group. We've done Visiting Nurses Association, the Staten Island Animal Shelter, whatnot. So any group that wants to raise some money, this is a great way to do it because we draw a lot of people. Oh, by the way, Joe, I almost forgot when I came up there. I was so excited with this show.
You what?
That there was a telegram that came for you. It sounds very urgent. It's from your wife.
From my wife? Well,
Yes.
let me read the telegram.
It says, not getting any better.
Yeah.
Come home soon.
What?
It says, not getting any better. Come home soon.
Wait a while. It's from my wife, but you're not reading it right.
I know.
It says, not getting any. Better come home soon. That's it. You don't need the things right. You read it wrong and give me the wrong thing.
That's an example, small example of burlesque
small example.
comedy. There's a lot of, I said, there's no nudity or vulgarity, but there's a lot of innuendo, double entendre.
Well, when LaGuardia closed Burlesque, he thought he closed Burlesque, and what happened is some entrepôts, is that what you call them?
That's the other Italian mayor we used to have, LaGuardia, not this guy.
He said, let's close the burlesque houses. So they did it. They had a bunch of strip women walk around, and that's what's in vogue now. But that's not burlesque.
Basically, what happened, Mike, if you have time, in burlesque and why it's associated with nudity is that the big movie houses, big Broadway musicals, took the audiences away from burlesque theater. So in order to draw in audiences, the producers emphasized the scantily clad women, made them disrobe more. The comics, I think you would agree, took a back seat after a while, and the strippers became the.
Well, Gypsy Rose Lee got her start.
Yeah, she's one of the most famous.
She's not known as a comedian.
You worked with Gypsy Rose Lee.
I worked with Gypsy. Gypsy was a great girl. Gypsy was with Billy Rose's Review, and she left Billy Rose's Review and came into Minsky's, and she spent $600 on a gown. And I said, wait a while, Gyp, $600 for a gown? They don't buy that. She says, you don't know the women that come in to see the show, and when they see styles like that, they go for it. So Gypsy was great. Gypsy was.
You have a man here who's worked with everybody in show. The greatest burlesque comics.
Carrie Grant,
by the way,
Phil Silvers, Frank Sinatra. My God.
Well, we had
speaking of Phil Silvers, may I bring out what I?
Go ahead.
Oh, sure.
This is the original playbill. Can I get a shot of this? The original playbill from Top Banana,
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
starring Phil Silvers and Joey Faye.
Yeah.
And it's funny, we had a shot of him with a hat in the previous show, the first show.
There it is.
1951, it's dated. There it goes.
Yeah.
And there's a whole biography in here on Joey.
Wow.
He was in it with Rose Marie of the Dick Van Dyke Show, and Jack Albertson from.
Yeah, we would have stayed. We would have stayed 9 years with Top Banana, but Phil says I got to have a vacation after a year or so, and so they said, all right, take an 8-week vacation. Took a vacation. They brought in another comedian whose name I won't mention. And he didn't do very well, so they closed the show. They reopened it again with Phil, and they said we're going on the road. But once they put out the thing that they're going on the road, that killed all the box office thing, and we went on the road and we stayed on the road for a year. We finally went to California and made the picture.
It was a very
but
big
we
hit.
would have still been there if it hadn't
They made the
been for
movie.
Now the movie, wasn't that supposed to be done by 20th Century Fox initially?
Another story. A producer meets Phil on the street and says, well, who are you working for? He says, 20th Century Fox. What are you doing? Top Banana. He says, what are they giving you? They says 5% of the gross. 5%? You work with me, I'll give you 50% of the gross. Phil says, I'm working with you. Well, he didn't know that 50% of nothing is still nothing. So he went to work for them, and this producer put out Top Banana, made the picture in 8 days. The whole picture was made in 8 days. It's still a great picture, but 8 days is no way to make a
Picture
picture.
wasn't released, it escaped.
And that's what happened with Top Banana.
And you just mentioned that you worked with Carrie Grant. And there was a spotlight question that we had, I believe it was in the last show, about the card scene. That
Yes.
How was it doing that scene?
Well, in Touch of Mink, Touch of Mink, Carrie Grant has just left Doris Day up in a room, and he's walking around till she gets undressed or whatever, and he sees me playing cards, and he comes over and starts playing cards with me, and he says, "Hey, what do you do with a girl that won't, I say, "Yeah, I hit her. That's the only, I'm a tough guy from Detroit." And we have a long conversation, and then he goes back up there, and then later on, he sees me down there, and he says, "You remember what you said about the girl?" But yeah, he says, "Well, I hit her." I say, "Good boy," and it was good. Working with Carrie Grant was a delight. He was one of the nicest guys. Go ahead, your turn.
I didn't work with Carrie Grant. But I passed him on the street once, and he was one of the nicest guys.
Another guy I worked with was Sinatra. Was also a great guy.
What did you do with Sinatra?
Sinatra, I did a Touch of Mink.
No, Tender Trap.
Tender Trap.
Oh,
yeah.
Tender Trap.
Touch of Mink.
And you can rent these movies, folks, and see our own Joey Faye.
Carrie Grant and.
Tender Trap is.
What's the big guy?
Tell us about is it the Great American Burlesque Troupe?
We call ourselves the Great American Traveling Burlesque Troupe.
Great American Traveling Burlesque Troupe. Any shows coming up? Any dates?
They're available.
We're available. We're working on. We played Snug Harbor a couple of years ago. It was very successful, and we're trying to get back into that. So we're negotiating for Snug Harbor. We're looking into venues and small venues in Atlantic City.
Small venues.
Small theaters, the smaller casinos.
Let's give them a little sample of burlesque.
Get a little sample of burlesque. Some
sure,
burlesque
I'd be
comedy.
delighted
to.
A little taste.
Listen, I'd like to be a dramatic.
What's your problem,
I'd
Joe?
like to be a dramatic actor, but there's one thing I can't talk very well.
You can't talk very well?
I speak, and I don't know. The words don't seem to come out right, and I don't know.
Well, I've got the thing for you, Joey. You know, the ancient Greeks had a method of improving addiction. Aristophanes had this method that he taught his actors. You see, he'd put a whole bunch of marbles in their mouths.
Yeah.
You see, and what you do is you talk through the marbles.
You fill your mouth with marbles?
Fill your mouth with marbles, talk through the marbles.
Speak through the marbles.
Right. And every day, you remove one marble.
Remove a marble.
Right. And when you've lost all your marbles, you're an actor.
Oh, well, I'd like to be an actor because I like to do those dramatic parts. Those heavy dramatic scenes where you see the...
Oh, you want to do a dramatic, but your diction, you got to work on your diction now.
Well, I'll work on it.
You have any trouble with anything?
Yeah, well, there's the big words that fracture me.
What words is
there's
that?
One word. There's one word already that the stuff they use on the kitchen floor. Linoleum.
What is it?
Linoleum. Linoleum.
You mean linoleum?
Linoleum.
No. Linoleum, Joey.
Linoleum.
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 Wait a minute, hold on. Let's sound it out.
Yeah.
Linoleum. Linoleum.
Linoleum. No. There's one word kills me altogether.
What's that?
The stuff that they make the siding on the aluminum.
Aluminum. Sound it out, Joey. Look at me.
Yeah, go.
Aluminum. Aluminum.
Linoleum. Oh, wait. I slipped. I didn't mean to say it. That's
and now you got to get into some dramatic stuff too,
Oh, dramatic.
Heavy stuff. Heavy drama.
Heavy stuff. I love that heavy stuff.
You almost forgot that, didn't you?
Yeah, I didn't know it was part of the routine. Yeah.
It is now.
What do I do?
Shakespearean stuff.
Shakespeare.
Do you know Shakespeare's books?
I buy his books the minute they come out. What are you kidding?
Shakespeare.
No, I'm one of his
I've got a perfect part for you. From Anthony and Cleopatra.
Oh, that's
now you're Julius Caesar.
I'm Julius Caesar.
See, now, Cleopatra's just been bitten by her asp.
Yeah. This is a cable show. You got to watch it.
No, it's okay. No,
go ahead.
She's lying there dead, right? You're Julius Caesar now.
I'm Julius Caesar.
You see her lying there on the floor dead.
Yeah.
And you say, Cleopatra.
Cleopatra. Fix your teeth.
My tongue got in the way of my eye teeth. I couldn't see what I was saying.
Well, Cleopatra.
Cleopatra.
Yeah. What have you done?
Who's doing this bit? You or me?
I don't know.
Cleopatra. What have you done?
That's what I say. Okay.
That's where I heard it.
Watch this.
All right.
Cleopatra, what have you done, Cleopatra? What have you done, huh? Cleopatra,
Hold
what
it,
are you
wait a minute, hold it,
thinking?
wait a minute.
What are you done?
Hold.
Cleopatra, what have you
Wait,
said?
no. What are you rushing for?
You told me to...
So what are you rushing?
Cleopatra...
But no, take it slow. It's a dramatic scene, very heavy scene.
heavy.
Very slow. All right?
I didn't know.
First,
Yes.
start it off.
Yeah,
Now,
yeah.
then take a deep breath.
Yeah.
And then finish off the line.
Okay.
Go try it again.
Try it again. Cleopatra! What have you done?
No.
Well, all right. That's,
I think we should have ended the bit earlier.
yeah, we should have ended it when I...
Before we came in.
That's great. Right now we've got to go to a commercial, but when we come back, we'll sit here and discuss how these things evolve, how you begin to write something like this.
We
It's
steal
amazing.
them.
So stay tuned. We'll talk about writing a burlesque skit when we come back, right after these messages. So stay tuned. Spotlight on the Arts.
Coming to America.
There you go, people will know of the...
Welcome back to Spotlight on the Arts. My name is Michael Toder, and I'm here with two Staten Island residents, one burlesque comedian, Joey Faye, and burlesque comedian, Vinnie Perrera. They just did an extremely funny burlesque skit to give us an example of burlesque humor. And what I'd like to know is, how would you get started? Joey, I know you write a lot of skits. How would you get started to write a skit? What would influence you?
Well, the comedy skits are already written. We steal them from other burlesque comics. You know, it's just a matter of thievery all around. But I remember one time, Minsky had a celebrity night, opening night on Broadway, and he invited a lot of people, a lot of stage folk, and a lady came backstage and she says, I want to shake your hand. You just gave me an idea for a thing, for a show, for a book I have. I said, wonderful, what is it? Well, it happened to be Mary, what was it?
Sounds like?
Sounds like, no, it isn't Dracula. What's that other show well, anyway.
Frankenstein?
What?
Mary Shelley's
Not
Frankenstein?
Mary Shelley, no.
Anyhow, we...
Shelley Berman?
Not Shelley, but don't mix me up with Shelley Berman. No, but anyway, and I gave her the idea for the show. She took it from an old burlesque scene that we did called Joe the Bartender, with the imaginary bar keep there, and the guy comes in, knocks on the door, and he says, Joe, I want a drink. No, don't give him that big glass. And the whole thing with she says, I have an imaginary character, a rabbit, imaginary character.
Oh, Harvey.
Harvey. She says, I'm going to do it. We're going to do it. I don't know if she was going to do it or she did it, but that's one of the credits.
But in terms of your writing, now I know that in talking to you, you had said that when you did the movie The Front,
Yeah.
which was about the McCarthy era and blacklisting the writers and
Yeah.
stuff like that, you yourself got a call as a writer. You wanna talk
You
about
mean
that?
from the FBI?
Well, whoever called you, yeah.
Well, the FBI called me and said, we want to know where have you been, and they called everybody then. I said, I've been here and there and everything, that's all. There was nothing.
Oh, so
But-
it wasn't...
No, it was nothing. But writing the sketches is a diary. I don't know. You tell them.
Tell them when the IRS called you, never mind the FBI.
Go ahead.
Sketch, as Joey said, someone would see something, and I saw a bit in Hoboken, and they'd have their pads. I picked this up in Altoona, Pennsylvania, and we'll add this joke to that sketch.
Now, let me ask you, Vin,
And that's
did
how
you
it
have
evolved.
any particular training in burlesque, or did you
First,
just come in and say,
I'm
hey...
glad you asked that, Mike.
You know,
I'm very glad you asked.
you put in... You're
Sit
doing
back and relax. I'm going to
you're
take
doing
it
a troupe
from
up
here
a
now.
bite, and, you know...
I want to emphasize
Go ahead.
that
The
the people
timing
in the Great American Traveling Burlesque Troupe, the Staten Island-based comedy troupe, not burlesque actors. We were trained in burlesque. We were local actors in musical theater. Among all of us, we must have done 50, 60, 70 shows, ranging from musical comedy to drama to reviews. So we were in part of the community, and Abe trained us in burlesque comedy. He spotted people who had the potential and were the right types. Asked us if we wanted to be in the show, trained us, timing, very important,
Yeah,
facial expression, physical body language, very important in burlesque, and he trained us. Can I put a little plug in with a little telephone number, maybe, for anyone
Sure.
who wants to? Great American Traveling Burlesque Troupe. We're available for fundraisers. especially very effective for fundraisers.
Give 'em the
The
phone
number to
number.
call is area code 718-761-5307.
761-5307. Ask for?
Ask for AB.
Ask for
We are
AB.
affectionately called AB's Babies.
Babies, babies.
Okay.
Matter of fact, we predate Sugar Babies.
Predate Sugar Baby.
We do.
Mickey Rooney and...
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Abe got the idea.
We're just about to close. So in a wrap-up, I'd just like to ask each of you, who's your biggest influence? Who's your biggest...
in comedy?
In comedy.
I would say, as a kid, a small kid watching TV, Milton Berle, a name that's almost forgotten, Joan Davis, one of the great physical comedians, Martha Ray, and Sid Caesar.
Sid Caesar. And Joe, I think we touched about this briefly, but...
No comedian. No.
He was before anybody.
No, the comics were very important, especially in burlesque, because we had to steal from somebody.
We have 10 seconds. Who's your favorite comedian?
Well, let's say
Mary, what's her name, who wrote Harvey?
Marx Brothers, all right.
The Marx Brothers. Okay. Thank you very
That's
much.
three.